Camera's shaking. Hi guys, how are y'all doing? Are we ready to continue our adventure with Jack and Annie today? Oh, I can't wait to see what happens. Let's do a really quick recap of what's happened because, you know, we've had the whole weekend to sleep and not know and keep up with our friends here. So remember, we left off where Jack and Annie ran into the armor room, right? And then they tried to hide, but then they got caught. But then, do you remember how they escaped? Let me show you the picture. See if that rings a bell. Who pretended to have magic powers and used a flashlight, right? Because back then, they had no clue what a flashlight was, right? That was Annie, okay? So they were able to escape. So let's continue on, all right? Chapter 7, A Secret Passage. Annie and Jack raced back up the winding stairs and down the long hallway. They hadn't gone far when they heard shouting behind them. Dogs barked in the distance. "They're coming!" Annie cried. "In here," said Jack. He shoved open a door off the hallway and pulled Annie into a dark room. Jack pushed the door shut. Then Annie shined her flashlight around the room. There were rows of sacks and wooden barrels. "I'd better look in the book," said Jack. "Give it to me." Annie gave him the flashlight and his backpack. He pulled out the book and started tearing through it. "Shh," said Annie, "someone's coming." Jack and Annie jumped behind the door as it creaked open. Jack held his breath. A light from a torch danced wildly over the sacks and barrels. The light disappeared. The door slammed shut. "Oh man," whispered Jack. "We have to hurry. They might come back." His hands were trembling as he flipped through the pages of the castle book. "Here's a map of the castle," he said. "Look, this must be the room we're in. It's a storeroom." Jack studied the room in the book. "These are sacks of flour and barrels of wine." "Who cares? We have to go," said Annie, "before they come back." "No, look," said Jack. He pointed at the map. "Here's a trap door." He read aloud. "This door leads from the storeroom through a secret passage to a precipice over the moat." Do you remember what the moat was? Remember, that was out in the front of the castle, the water that's all the way around it. "What's a precipice?" said Annie. "I don't know. We'll find out," said Jack. "But first we have to find the door." Jack looked at the picture carefully. Then he shined the flashlight around the room. The floor of the room was made up of stones. The trapdoor in the picture was 5 stones away from the door to the hall. Jack shined the light on the floor and counted the stones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He stamped on the 5th stone. It was loose. He put the flashlight on the floor. He worked his fingers under the thin sheet of stone and tried to lift it. "Help," Jack said. Annie came over and helped him lift the stone square out of its place. Underneath was a small wooden door. Jack and Annie tugged on the rope handle of the door. The door fell open with a thunk. Jack picked up the flashlight and shined it on the hole. "There's a little ladder," he said. "Let's go." He clipped on the flashlight and felt his way down the small ladder. Annie followed. When they both reached the bottom of the ladder, Jack shined the light around them. There was a tunnel. He crouched down and began moving through the damp, creepy tunnel. The flashlight barely lit the stone walls. He shook the light. "Were the batteries running down?" "I think our light's dying," he said to Annie. "Well, hurry," she called from behind him. Jack went faster. His back hurt from crouching. The light got dimmer and dimmer. He was desperate to get out of the castle before the batteries died completely. Soon he reached another small wooden door, the door at the end of the tunnel. Jack unlatched the door and pushed it open. He poked his head outside. He couldn't see anything in the misty darkness. The air felt good, cool and fresh. He took a deep breath. Where are we?" whispered Annie behind him. "What do you see?" "Nothing, but I think we've come to the outside of the castle," said Jack. "I'll find out." Jack put the flashlight in his pack. He put the pack on his back. He stuck his hand out the door. He couldn't feel the ground, just air. "I'm going to have to go feet first," he said. Jack turned around in the small tunnel. He lay down on his stomach. He stuck one leg out the door, then the other. Jack inched down bit by bit until he was hanging out the door, clinging to the ledge. "This must be the precipice," he called to Annie. "Pull me up." Annie reached for Jack's hand. "I can't hold you," she said. Jack felt his fingers slipping. Then down he fell through the darkness. Splash! Oh, where's he at? He fell down. There's Annie. She couldn't hold on to him. Chapter 8, The Night. Water filled Jack's nose and covered his head. His glasses fell off. He grabbed them just in time. He coughed and flailed his arms. "Jack!" Annie was calling from above. I'm in the moat," said Jack, gasping for air. He tried to tread water and put his glasses back on. With his backpack, his shoes, and his heavy clothes, he could hardly stay afloat. Splash! "Hi, I'm here," Annie sputtered. Jack could hear her nearby, but he couldn't see her. "Which way's land?" Annie asked. "I don't know, just swim." Jack dog paddled through the cold black water. He heard Annie swimming too. At first it seemed as if she was swimming in front of him, but then he heard a splash behind him. "Annie?" he called. "What?" Her voice came from in front. "Not behind." Another splash behind. Jack's heart almost stopped. "Crocodiles?" He couldn't see anything through the water-streaked glasses. "Annie!" "What?" "Swim faster!" "But I'm here. I'm over here near the edge," she whispered. Jack swam through the dark toward her voice. He imagined a crocodile slithering after him. Another splash not far away. Jack's hand touched a wet, live thing. "Ah!" he cried. "It's me. Take my hand," said Annie. Jack grabbed her hand. He pulled him to the edge. She pulled him to the edge of the moat. They crawled over an embankment onto the wet grass. Safe. Another splash came from the moat waters. "Oh man," Jack said. He was shivering all over. His teeth were chattering. He shook the water off his glasses and put them back on. It was so misty he couldn't see the castle. He couldn't see the moat, much less a crocodile. We made it," said Annie. Her teeth were chattering too. "I know," said Jack, "but where are we?" He peered at the foggy darkness. Where was the drawbridge? The windmill, the hawk's house, the grove of trees, the tree house. Everything had been swallowed up by the thick, soupy darkness. Jack reached into his wet backpack and pulled out the flashlight. He pushed the switch. No more light. They were trapped, not in a dungeon, but in the still, cold darkness. "Nee!" A horse is whining. Just then the clouds parted. A full moon was shining in the sky. A pool of light spread through the mist. Then Jack and Annie saw him just a few feet away. The knight. He sat on the black horse. His armor shone in the moonlight. A visor hid his face, but he seemed to be staring straight at Jack and Annie. Ooh. Dun, dun, dun. Wonder what's going to happen tomorrow. All right, my friends, snack time is over. We will do this again tomorrow.